You're listening to She's the Business podcast. All right, so I'm here with Lesley Logan, who is the founder of online pilatesclasses.com. Welcome, Lesley. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Jessica, thanks for having me. This is going to be a lot of fun conversation. I love the name of your podcast, She's the Business. I just think it's great. I like anytime we proclaim things as they're happening. So I love it.
Oh, that's awesome. Do you know, you're the first person who's ever said that to me. And when I came up with the name, I was like, yeah, she's the business. She's got it all going on. And, there's a sort of play on words with it. And I thought I was really clever in naming it that. But you were the very first person to ever say anything to me.
Oh, it's so clever. And also it's like she's the boss. Like she's a badass. She's bold. Like she's, I think it's because it's like, a lot of times today, most owners of businesses, their public persona is the business, right? To me, it makes a lot of sense.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad. And maybe everyone out there was like, yeah, it just made perfect sense. I didn't need to say anything about it. But that's cool. Thank you so much. We have got such a cool topic to get into because with business, as you just said, we are often so much of the business. When we're running our own business, it is about the business, but there is this blurred line between business and life. And, how do we manage it all? How do we show up as the best version of ourselves, and what does that look like? Because there's, oh goodness, I'm sure we could talk for hours about all of the wrongs out there with so much stuff going on about this, grind your nose to the grindstone, work all the time, just do it harder, do it longer, and then you'll get there. And for me as a female,
lies.
Yeah, lies. I know, right?
All lies.
This is life, guys. We've got one life. We have one life here to live on this earth. And I don't want to be waiting another 10, however many years until I've got to whatever this new place is I'm trying to get to before I can start living the life. Why can't we live it along the way? And do you feel like the right person to be guiding us into this, I guess, a much better balance between business and life?
Well, I thank you for that. I definitely think I can, because I used to be the person who grinded and overworked and said yes when I wanted to say no, but felt like if I said no, then I wouldn't be chosen the next time or asked the next time. And even today I have to remind myself of that when I turn opportunities down. Like, oh my God, if I turn this down, they would never ask me again. Or, oh, they want to know my rates for that. And they're asking for a discount. I don't want to give a discount. And they're trying to tell me that there's other opportunities. And so, no, because I don't know how you were raised, Jessica, but I was definitely raised that there's always someone smarter, prettier, richer out there than you. So you're only really worthy of the effort you did today. And it all starts over tomorrow. It was like a blank slate. Yeah. And so it made me into this person who worked all the time. In high school, went to school, I was an athlete and I had a job. I was always busy. So I actually did not know what to do with time off. Went to college. After I figured out how much to study for college, I was like, well, I have all this time. I may as well get a job. And so I just was like that all the time. And I was starting to get sicker and sicker. And I was really young with a lot of stomach issues and thinking it was allergies and sensitivities, and my sleep got worse, and all that came down to stress. I was so stressed out, but I didn't look stressed out. And I didn't feel stressed out because this is how I've always lived my life. So what's stressful about this is how life is. And it turned out to no, you actually need to be taking care of yourself. Rest is taking care of yourself. And so I had to really learn the hard way and heal my body, and then make sure that even though I was doing a lot of things for myself, that I was doing the things for myself that I still want to do, not just because I always did them, because I was always the person who's doing them, that I was the best. Was I the best person to be doing these things? And so really trying to figure out what is, and I don't believe in the word balance, but what is the blend?
Yeah.
Even season by season of how much efforting does my business need of me today, but what do I need to do to be able to provide that effort? Right? If you think about your car can only go so far on the gasoline that you have in the tank. right? At some point, you have to
Yeah,
fill it up,
exactly.
right? And
Yeah.
if you only fill it halfway,
Yeah.
you don't get to go as far as you went before. And so I like to think of like prioritizing ourselves allows us is a part of like filling our cup again so we can go out and do the things we want to do. And, you know, it's going to evolve and it's going to change. Like
Mm,
who I am today and how I run my businesses today is different than I did 5 years ago because well, 5 years ago there was COVID, but also like my business has more money, right? Like I'm a different person. I'm over 40 now versus when I was in my mid 30s. Like these are things that change
yeah.
how much time I need to spend with myself.
Yes. And, that's so important. I think what I heard in that is it's so easy to get kind of led by what everyone's saying or what the expectation is, or even, what we may have learned is the expectation. It's maybe not even said that much, but it was just this environment that you grew up in. And I definitely relate to that. It was, always working. I had a job since I was 11 years old. I'm like, I used to buy my own clothes as a teenager. Like mum and dad didn't fund university. I got a student loan and the government funded it for a while, but I paid them back. And anyway, it was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I'm just doing it. I'm working, I'm studying, I work 2 jobs at times. And it is that whole thing that you're always doing something, you're always busy, and I've got to make it all happen. And I think that for me, this happened as well around that time. Well, maybe it was a bit later than you because I didn't have my first child till I was 35. And I still was under this impression of like, yeah, well, what's going to change? I've got a kid. And at that time, I thought, I'll have a kid. I'll come back to work and I'll continue, but I'll now just be me with a kid. And my boss at the time, and actually I've told this story before, but I've realized now in hindsight, he was right. And that's so annoying because in such a condescending way at the time, he goes, oh, you won't want to come back to your job because your priorities will change. And I was just like, what? I haven't worked my butt off my whole life to give it all away. But actually, he was right in that I realized I don't want your life. He was sort of my boss, the CEO. I was the head of marketing. I was in this high-powered executive job, which is where I thought I wanted to be. And suddenly I saw it through different eyes because then as a mother, I was like, no, I don't want to not be in my son's life because I'm at work all the time and I'm prioritizing the business and, it's not even my own business. I was working for someone else. I was like, I don't want that. That's not what I want. And so I decided to start my business. And, you mentioned balance. And for me, balance is like, what is the right balance for me? Doesn't have to be equal. It's like
Right.
the balance for me of like work versus play versus health. And I'm like, I want to be able to get out and walk every day. I want to exercise. I don't want to be sitting at a desk, then spending a little bit of time with my son and then sleeping and then doing it again and just giving away
Yeah.
all my health and, the vitality. And that brings me back to that whole thing, which I'd love to hear you talk a bit more about is, how can we do that when this drive to succeed is so inbuilt? Whether we're now in our own business and you're often like, well, you're the golden goose that lays the eggs. So you've got to, you're doing it. And if you stop, then what is there?
Yeah. I mean, I feel all of that. Because you guys in 2013, I left my ex, who we had a house and all the things. I mean, he had a house, I lived there. So I left everything. And on my way out the door, I totaled my car so that I didn't have a car anymore. And then the studio I rented space from to run my own business closed. And so there I was without a place to run my business or a car to go anywhere and a place to live. And I was like couch surfing and like cobbling it together. And I was just like, okay, so like, I think I should figure out where I want to live first. Right? Like most people are like, well, where are you going to teach? You should live there. And I'm like, I think I should figure out where I want to live first.
Yeah.
Right? Because like when I go home, like where I choose to live has to light me up. I'm not going to do it for my clients. What if they don't even follow me anyways? I might have to start all over again. I'm going to be super resentful. So I share that story about being homeless only because I want for everyone to hear. I do understand the money thing. I grew up poor. I grew up like feast or famine. My dad would get paid. We had great dinners and then there would be nothing. Right. So like, I really understand needing money. And I think what's super important is to really figure out for yourself if you could design everything around you, selfishly design everything around you. What does success look like? And what are the things that are must-haves in your schedule? And by the way, sleep is one of those things,
Yes.
ladies. Like, I'm sure there's a few good men that listen, but here's the deal. Your sleep is so important, and it becomes more important as you get older and as you go through perimenopause. None of us get to skip that.
Yeah.
We all get to go through that, and so important. The next thing is, what are you doing to strengthen and move your body, right? That has to be in there. And then you get to, and that's going to be a different balance based on where you are in your life and what you need, right? You need a little less when you're younger. You need a lot more when you're older. Like, just get to know that. So you got to figure that out, but you have to also understand, yes, there's times in my business where I was the golden goose. And if I wasn't laying the eggs, there was no money. But can you figure out in the future, what would your dream job description in your business be?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So that we know who we're going to hire when we have extra money. Because that's what I had to decide. Like, okay, I am a Pilates instructor. I used to own my own studio, and I would teach, and I would travel the world teaching. And I started this online thing, and I had to sit down and go, okay, I did this in 2019 in the winter. We were just talking about this before we hit record. In 2019 was in Australia.
Yeah.
So I was flying back, and I was like, I really love that. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be back here in 4 months. I have to just flight again in 4 months. Right. And I was just thinking, my entire 2020 is so planned out, and I don't really want to do most of that. I want to do, like I was, so what do I want? And I can't cancel it, but I was like, what do I want to do? Like, let's 4 years from now, right? Like, let's work into the future. We have nothing scheduled. What do I want my job to be? What does it look like in my business?
Mm-hmm.
And when you go forward into the future and you dream,
Yes.
right? You dream about it. Then I was able to figure out, okay, well, if that's my job in the business in 4 years, then who are the people that I'm going to eventually need to hire? And then I can think about, like, well, how much, like, which one do I hire first? Which one is going to produce income while I'm teaching?
Yeah.
So that, or which one's going to free up my time so that when I'm not teaching, I could be working on things that grow the business. And that's really what I set out to do. And obviously 2020 like blew everything up, and we lost it all. We had to start all over again, which was great because I got to do what I wanted sooner.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
like,
it's funny how that happens,
okay,
right?
I have nothing. And that you can say that too, if I have nothing, or, oh my God, I have nothing. I can just start this all over again, knowing what I know. So I think each person, depending on where you are in your life and your seasons, your responsibilities, you need to think about, like, if in the future I wasn't the golden egg, or I am the golden egg, but I have a bunch of other egg machines.
Yes.
Like, what is my dream job description? But you have to know what fills your cup. And if you are a recovering overachiever like me, you don't know what fills your cup because you've been going for so long and you've just been doing what the media tells you to do, or you're going to yoga twice a week and you're drinking out of your Stanley cup or whatever. No offense to the people who love your Stanley cup, but like, you're doing all the things you've been told to do, but they don't make you happy.
Yeah. And you only realize it once you've actually done that, right? Once you're like, well, I've done this and I've done that and I've got this, like, you like at one point on paper, it's like, well, anyone would look at that and think that's got to be the dream. And then you're in it going, but is it, like, is this it really, and then you start going, well, where is the next step? And that was that moment for me where I was like, okay, the next step would be the CEO job, and that does not look like fun at all, right? So I want to be the CEO of my own company, but I'm making the rules, and so you part ways. But it's
you don't even have to be the CEO. I'm not the CEO of my own company. My husband is, because he loves phone calls and he loves meetings and he loves, like, looking at stuff. And I don't. I am the chief visionary officer. That's me. I come up with all the ideas. I say, here's all the things I want to do, because that's my dream job description.
Yeah.
And then they tell me what is possible. They even tell me, this is how much it's going to cost if you really want to do this. And I go, oh, because sometimes I'm like, oh, I didn't want to spend that much on it, right?
Well, it's going to take this long. You're like, oh.
Or this is going to take this long, or we have to cancel this if you want to do that. It's like, oh, so, but there's always a way. But I think sometimes we have accidentally chosen paths or we didn't know what success was. We used someone else's model, but along the way, we didn't recalibrate it. Cause that's fine. Like I didn't know my parents had no money. So I didn't know what it was like to be someone who made six figures. Are you kidding? No one in my family made six figures.
Yeah.
Right. So like I had to borrow
You didn't have
people's
that
dreams.
context, right? So
Right. Yeah. So, but you have to, at some point, you have to like make sure you have a day where you're like asking yourself these questions. And so, so in 2020, things were like going really good. We'd redone everything. We're actually making things work. So everything was kind of accelerated. And I remember talking to my therapist. I said, so here's the deal. I slay when the shoe drops, but we are at a point where, we have two shoes up and I don't want to keep operating in this hustle. I don't want to keep operating this way. I feel like I'm in fifth gear all the time. And I know I don't need to be in fifth gear, but I actually don't really know how to get out of it because like I'm good at fifth gear.
Yeah.
And this is like an easy place for me to be. It's going to kill me, but it fits. Right. So she told me this and it really made a lot of sense to me. Because I already knew I prioritized myself first. Like every morning I got up and did my walking. I already did my sleep. I already had a lot of the stuff, but what I didn't have was like fun or play or like just a hobby. So she said, I want you to block time off in your schedule, 15 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever it is. And then I want you to put a list of things that would actually feel good to you to spend your time doing that are for you. So you all can do this and you just brain dump. There's no bad idea. I could read a book. I could get a massage. I can get my nails done. I could lay in my sauna blanket. I could meditate. I could lay in front of my red light. I could journal. I could go for a walk around the block. A list of anything you can do. And I basically copied and pasted it into these little blocks of time that I set aside for myself. And the blocks of time ranged and varied and they were in different times. And I did it for a whole month, just copy and paste it. So when that time came up, I would look at the list and I would go, what of these feels good? Like, what of these do I want to do?
Yeah.
Because for the perfectionists listening, we're like, oh, I'm supposed to read. It's my reading time. But your brain might be like, on high speed thinking about something, and reading would be a waste of time because you'd be trying to think about the reading, but you're thinking about the other thing.
Yeah.
So maybe going for a walk is better because then you can think about the thing, but you're going for a walk. So I did that for a month and I was really able to discover like, what do I need and when do I need it?
Yeah.
Right. And then you guys, I don't even have the list anymore. Now I had 15 minutes between this and something else. And I'm like, oh, what? I got 15 minutes. What do I want to do right now? Oh, you know what? I've been wanting to go through my closet. Great. Let's go.
Yeah.
So like it becomes something you don't need the reminder for.
Yeah.
But I think each person listening, there are different ways to prioritize yourself first. I was just talking to an author who, she said that she prioritized herself first by feeling her feelings one day. She got bad news. And instead of picking up the phone and talking, like, going about her day, she like sat down and felt her feelings. And so I think like, we've got to recognize that like we are human beings.
Yeah.
Right. And what you need is going to be seasonal. And some of them are not some of them are with the seasons of the environment, but some of them are seasons of your life. You had a kid, right? So a baby, like that season until they're in kindergarten is a whole different, what are you able to do, versus when they're in elementary school and then there's the sleep, whatever it is. Right. So we have to be kinder to ourselves. But we have to understand that like, if you don't come in the top 3, and the only reason you'd be number 3 is if an infant, right? Like once they're
actually need you.
They really, really need you. So it's a whole different story. But when we're talking like kids, they're not number 1. No. And nor is your spouse. And no, you are. Because if you go down, the whole thing goes.
Yeah.
Right. So you're busy spending time apologizing to people for being tired, exhausted, stressed, overwhelmed.
Yeah. And you're just not doing your best when you are in that state. Like, I can look back at, there have definitely been times where, operating at 5th gear, maybe even 6th gear, like literally going bananas, not sleeping that much because there's so much to do. And then you look back and you're like, yeah, I did some things, but it probably took longer because your brain is tired. So even just thinking and executing on it actually takes you longer than when you're rested. And the
Yes.
things that, there's always stuff that happens that you never expect. So you're in the middle of, whether it's a launch, whether it's an event, back in my corporate days, we used to host these giant events, and the CEO would throw a curveball like 3 days beforehand. We're moving venue. I'm like, like disaster, whatever. You just had to roll with it. You got to get it done. And it was like, so those moments, you've just got to go with it a bit, but it also, like I used to, as a high achiever type, be like, well, I'd put myself last. Like, I don't need to sleep. I'm fine. I'll stay up and I'll get this done. And, I'm like, and it was like this, it's almost like a badge of honor, or this thing that you have of like, I can do it all. And
oh yeah, the busy badge of honor. I forget who coined that and told me about it, but like the busy badge of honor, no one is giving that badge out.
No, and no one's giving you any awards. Like, well done,
No, they'll just give you more. And it's not sustainable. I had a coach who I really, really loved. I still love her. I still like, whenever she speaks, I still like, there's a morsel of something that I'm like, oh, it inspires me. Mm-hmm. And she was really big into launching. And you know what? I'm grateful I met her. Her launch, that style of launching really did help me transition from like literally having all of a sudden closing a studio and canceling 8 contracts of travel and teaching and speaking and having to like start from nothing. Thank God for launches. But after a couple of years of launching, I was exhausted by the stress of it, the feast and famine. Like, this is like, this has got to be $50,000 because we're not launching again for 3 months. And I'm like, and then it's only $45,000. You're like, ugh, right? Like, just that such a quarter. Like, I literally, to my husband, I'm like, we cannot be launch people. I don't have it in me to be a launch person. And, we had to like figure out a different way to get people into our memberships, and like, what are different ways we can expose people to what we're doing? How can we buy ourselves some runway? So do we need to do another launch, but then buy ourselves some runway so that we can like have more steady income and things like that, or secret launches that no one knows about. So I'm not publicly pushing, all the time.
Yeah.
And so because we evolve and there's seasons, and get this, this year, it's the first year she's only going to launch one time. And I watched it. I was like, yeah, because it's fucking exhausting, lady.
Yeah, I know, right?
I can't do it anymore.
I so feel you on that. And like so a couple of years ago, we decided to drive around Australia with a caravan, like literally drive around the outside of Australia. And I was like, okay, well, that means I'm not doing any launches, like cancel that off the schedule. And that forced me to make a whole lot of changes in my business and shut stuff down that was like, I'm just doing it because I've had it and I've been doing it. But I had to get really, what's the word, brutal. And it was really hard to just be like, okay, why am I doing that? Do I need to be doing it? Because I'm going on this trip. I want to actually be enjoying the experience. I thought at the time, stupid me, that I would be able to do some work in the car because we'd have a few long drives, it's a very long way. And and I was like, oh, we literally get out of any kind of city and there is zero mobile reception. There's not even SOS. Like, there's literally none. So thank God we invested in Elon Musk's crazy, satellite.
Oh yes, Starlink. We're going camping this weekend. Yes. And that's nice because you know what? For emergencies, it's perfect.
It's so good. Yeah.
We think, well, because I used to, we're going on tour again. So I've done similarly across the US, we do it. And, the first time I did a tour, of course I worked on the road. No problem. Second time, a little bit less. Third time, eventually you're like, as the tours get bigger and there's more and more people at the events, the less I can do when I'm in the car. Because I'm in the car, I want to lay in the bed with a red light mask on, listening to a podcast, the more of me that I have to put out when I'm out, the less I can do behind the scenes. And so it means like prioritizing myself first means prepping. So I have people on my team that we are literally filming content for our memberships that doesn't come out till October right now. Why? Because I'm going to be gone. Yeah. So I don't want to be rushed. I don't want to get sick before I go. Like, it's just really, it means planning ahead, but everything is also an experiment. I think it's so important for the recovering perfectionists and overachievers. You went on that tour, like that trip, and even though you canceled stuff, you're like, oh, I could do a little work in the car. And they're like, oh, I can't do anything unless I have this on. And so you're like, even you have to be able to roll with it, but also you have to go, okay, reflecting. How was that? Oh, actually, I wish I had less work to do, or I could have done more work. Who knows? Right. But you have to, so every time we go, we get better at it. And so like it was last summer, I had 8 cities in a row. So 8 days in a row that I was teaching and doing events. And I lost my voice on day 8. And we made a rule. 5, 6, maybe depends on how many events, but 5 every 5 days. We have to have a day off, which is hard because we don't want to ever lose a day off that's a weekend, because those are easier to book for things. So it really requires us to be strategic and thoughtful. But if I go down, the whole tour goes down. So we, and so you just have to know that like you're always going to get better if you get to know, the more you get to know yourself, and the more you take care of yourself, the more you get to know yourself, and the more you reflect, the sooner that you start to like, it starts to become easier, it just becomes easier.
Yeah. So I'm curious because when I did that trip and I literally, spend a lot of time for ourselves, my business actually grew, which was amazing. I hadn't expected it to. I thought I was sort of putting it on life support. I'm like, I'm only going to keep the things I need to keep, a couple of like really small things, and everything else I shut it down, and it was wonderful. But I'm curious for you, because you mentioned you went through that time where you did it for a month, where you were prioritizing yourself for 15 or 45 minutes, whatever your time block was, and choosing something from the list. What did you notice changed once you started doing that? Like, what became different for you in your life and in your business or for yourself?
The obvious thing was I was actually just having more fun.
Yeah.
Like it was just fun, and I actually it didn't happen right away, but I found myself becoming even better at time management when I was working, because now I had something to look forward to doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It wasn't like, okay, I've got these, I got to finish that funnel. I got to write that thing up. I got to post that thing. And you kind of just let the whole day, you could just, I don't have kids, right? So like my husband will work as well. So like I could just
keep going. There's always something else to do, right? Like it does not stop.
Right. It doesn't stop.
Yeah.
And also everything takes the time you give it.
Yeah.
So if you give yourself 2 hours to write a blog, you'll take 2 hours. If you give yourself 2 hours to go to the gym, you'll also take 2 hours. Like you just will take the time. Everything takes time you give it. So I started to get quicker at things because I had other things I was attracted to doing. And I also, similar to you, you start to realize like, I don't need to be the one doing that.
Yeah.
Why am I the one doing it? Why am I doing that? Do I need to be the one doing that? And so so another thing that really changed is just like my ability to let go of I'm not a big micromanager because I don't have a memory. Like I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't really want to, I want to be in a meeting.
No.
So
it's hard work. So why would you want to do that?
But what I was kind of let running in my brain, like, did they do that? What if they did that? Did they do that? And like, check, like I kind of started to let things go and get even better about delegating to my assistants about things. And so you actually become a bit more selfish. And I don't think selfish is a bad word.
Yeah.
I mean, there are versions of selfishness. You could be an asshole and that's a different story. But I started to get more selfish of my time and going, no, I have to have a lunch break. So like in my calendar, even though I work for myself, there's a lunch break literally in the calendar every day. You guys, it is an hour. It is an hour-long lunch break. Do I need an hour? No, I don't. But some days I do. Yeah. Some days I want an hour. And so especially like during those days when I want to, I'm so grateful I have an hour. And the days that like I don't need it, I let myself get back to whatever I was doing. It's not a big deal, but I have it blocked out so that if I need it, I can take it. Yeah. And I think sometimes we're not giving ourselves enough buffer time for like, what if I'm having an exhausted day? What if things take a little bit longer? So those are built in. But yeah, I just had a lot more fun. I have a lot more fun now. It's really great. It's really great. Now, it's not hard. It's fucking hard to work for yourself. Sorry, guys. It's really hard to work for yourself. Yeah. It's really hard to be responsible or feel responsible for 25 people's livelihoods.
Yes.
It's also really difficult to have to figure out how I inspire people every single day to take care of themselves and do Pilates so that they don't quit the membership that I love providing for them, right? So there's all these components, but because it's hard,
Yeah.
even more reasons that I have to take care of myself so that I'm able to take on that challenge.
Yeah. Now, I know that, and you will probably relate to this because I can tell we're both that type, the high achiever, like go, go, go.
Yeah.
And the person who's listening, who's going, yeah, I get that. I understand that I can put this time in my calendar. I can give myself 15 minutes or 45 minutes. That sounds great. But, I've got all these things and I've got to get them done. And, like they're not even consciously thinking that, but they're just so used to being that way that they're going to listen. They're going to go, that sounds wonderful. And then they're never going to do it. So tell us
They might even
why.
be saying, Jessica, they might even be saying, oh, must be so nice for her.
Yeah. That's great for her, but that won't never work for me because of whatever reason.
My response is, it is nice for me because I am so tired of people saying it must be nice. Yes, it is nice. And I also worked here. So for the person who's like listening and thinking that like, you can't do this, I can't take your rock bottom away from you. I can't. So some people will have to hit burnout before they listen. And maybe even hit it a few times. You might end up even having to be someone who has to be in a hospital for a heart problem or something. I hate saying that, but the fact of the matter is it's so true. Even a coach that I had hired a couple times, I really, really liked them. And at one point I was like, okay, I don't really like what they're doing. And I like broke off, but I've been observing them. He had a stroke. Right. Because he was going.
Wow.
Because I was like, I liked them and they helped me and I needed that hustle. And then I was like, okay, I no longer want to work like that. So he had a stroke. He's in his 40s. He should not be having a stroke. That should not be happening. Right. So
40s. Oh my goodness.
It's so young. You guys, we, as far as we know, get one life in one body.
Yeah.
Your ability to succeed is not contingent on you overworking. It is actually more about like how I believe we are magnets for things. It does not surprise me that your business grew while you were gone because you were in this like relaxed state of abundance, receiving, enjoying like what you were doing. So like your business was so attractive to people.
Yeah.
Right. It wasn't because it had stuff scheduled. There was stuff going on, but like, it wasn't like omnipresent.
Yeah.
So people are like, look at that. So to the person who's just like not ready, you will be one day. And I hope that you remember this episode with Jessica and I hope that you remember to like come up with the ideas that could make you feel really good. But I truly hope that you just try. Like, here's what you can do. Okay. If like, look, money is a thing, like you work for another company and you're trying to make your magic happen. Like I've been there. I have ran 9 studios for a company while also renting a space for myself, right? Like I have so been there and I totally understand. You do need to sit down and figure out when can you make the switch? Because if you are that person, you've got one foot on an island and one foot on a boat. All right. And so eventually the splits, you can't sustain it. So you have to figure it out. So you got to figure. And I had to sit down and go, how much money do I need to make in my private business to pay my bills long enough to leave this job that gives me a paycheck every 2 weeks? And then how many clients was that? I had to break it down to like how many clients that was. Okay. I need 4 clients to come twice a week. And then I can get rid of the salary job. Insane to me. Blew my mind. To get 4 people. Right.
Yeah.
So, but I figured out that the moment I had 3, I could probably still pay my bills for several months without, going broke or needing to borrow money. And that's like, even if clients went on vacation. So I found 3 people who come twice a week and I like got rid of that job. Right. So you got to know what those things are. In the meantime, the other thing you need to be doing is like, what 5 minutes can you give to yourself? Do you guys know that 30 minutes of the day is only 2% of the day? If you can't give yourself 2% of the day, we have a problem. We have a massive problem. Yeah. So maybe you can only give yourself 5 minutes every couple of hours. Fine. Take it. Do not scroll on your phone. No. That's not going to make you feel good. You need to sit down, have a song that you play. I remember when I was in that busy season, I had this one song that I would hit play on in between every client while I washed my hands, and I would listen to this song, and it just soothed my soul, and it just felt so good. And that making that choice was prioritizing myself first, and it really helped, right? So you have to figure out little moments
Yeah.
of what that is. And then so if you can't figure out anything, moving your body is one of the best things you can do because it increases dopamine, which makes you feel happy. Happy people just do better things in life. But second, you end up having more energy.
Mm.
So if you have a consistent movement practice, as long as you're fueling yourself and sleeping, you will have more energy in your day.
Yes.
So that's a way to like compound things. But I feel you, but I don't, I'm so sorry. I don't think Jessica and I are going to say, well, keep going then. No.
No.
You got to
Yeah.
have a bright line of like, okay, on this date, I'm going to make the switch. Okay, great. On that date, do it. Like
Yeah.
but it's really easy to just go, oh, it'll never happen, or to always kick the can down the road until someday you can't.
Yeah. And it's so easy to say someday, one day I'll do that, or, when then I, and, it's like, well, maybe it can be sooner. What if you don't have to get to that point before you start having this life? Like, what can you start now? And I love what you just said then. You're like, you don't have to make this giant jump into, prioritizing yourself that might feel so big a shift, because if you haven't been doing it, if you literally haven't even been giving yourself that 2%, it may
Yeah.
feel like, yeah, that sounds crazy, but I'm not doing it. And how can I? But what if it's 2 minutes? Like, let's start at 2 minutes instead of 30 minutes. Like, what can you do that you could start with? Because I think that when I look back and all the things that you try to make a change, the change becomes a lot faster when you actually just start taking the action instead of going, I need to wait until I can do the 30 minutes. Like, no, okay, well, if you can't do that today, let's start with 2 minutes. Can we do that? No. Can we do 1 minute? Can you do 30 seconds? Like, put on your watch and do 30 seconds of breathing. Like, my watch has this lovely, let's relax your body, put a breathwork thing on. And sometimes I do it for 5 minutes. Sometimes I do it for 1 minute, but I'll just sometimes go, yeah, okay, let's do that now. And it doesn't.
And you never go, oh, fuck,
No.
I only gave myself 1 minute. You go, wow, that was nice.
That was
okay.
nice. Yeah, exactly. And it just gives you that moment of like taking your brain off all the other stuff, like just focus on your breath for a minute. And then I'm like, right, okay, I'm ready to move on. But other days you need it for longer. And so, sit there and give yourself longer. But I think what you said, it's just so beautiful. 30 minutes is only 2%. Like, that just sounds insane. Like, why aren't we giving ourselves that? But we don't even have to start with that much. Like, start with anything, because when I've seen, I've had so many clients in similar positions. They're like, I'd love to quit my job. I'm like, right, what can we do today? And when you figure out what do you need, like you did, like you only need 3 clients to quit the job and actually do this. Sometimes it's so much less than what you're thinking it is, because you haven't figured out. And then you can go, right, what can I do today? Because that one action, that one step is taking you closer to it, right? So it'll happen so much faster. And I love that idea of live the life that you want to be living while you're building your dream. Like, don't wait till you've got the dream to live the life, because you may have the stroke at age 40, like your coach did. You might have the heart attack. You might be in hospital. Heaven forbid you may never get there. And so that would be such a shame, right? What if you maybe it took a little bit longer, maybe it didn't, maybe it actually is going to happen faster because you're giving yourself more fun, that you say, like your life, you've got more fun in your life, you're enjoying it. And when you're doing all those things, I think things happen faster.
Yeah, they really do. They actually really do. I mean, what you're saying is like, that's why I named my podcast Be It Till You See It. It's like, what if I act like I know what I'm doing? What if I was a person who took care of myself all the time? What would I do? What if I already had hired 5 people on the team and I wasn't the only person doing it? What would my morning look like? What would my day look like? Because you can restructure your schedule so that when you hire people, you're not going, okay, no, I'm no longer available at that time. No, like it's already there, right? Like you can do it, or at least you have a goal. So like, one of the things I work with people on is like, I don't want to teach evening clients anymore. Okay, great. Block off all the evening times you have. You have evening clients now. We're not going to fire them, but we're not going to let anyone else sign up for them. And we're going to open up the morning times. And that way you're only taking on morning people. And yes, you're going to have a Swiss cheese schedule. It's not going to be really awesome for a bit. But once you have those morning slots filled where you can confidently go to the evening person, go, I love you. But if you want me to keep teaching you, you might need to move times.
Yeah.
And if they say no, you don't freak out. You just go, okay, let me find you a better teacher, right? Let me find you somebody who's available in the evening. Sometimes we have to do that, but you got to know what you're wanting to do. And I am certain no one is listening to this episode going, I never want to prioritize myself. They're listening to this episode because they want to be someone who can.
Yes.
So, all or nothing mentality will get you zero places. It's like, it might kick things off. It might be the thing that like helped you launch your business. But the reality is, it's like, it doesn't actually work that way. Every successful person you know actually built their business off failure, trying things out, missing the mark, trying again, missing that mark, trying again, but learning each time, reflecting and learning. So you absolutely can figure out what your dream is of your business and how you are and how you run it and what that looks like. And then just like, act like that person today? What would that mean? How would that do it? And, it'll be a struggle, but you'll get there. It wasn't the easiest thing for me. I definitely still have to remind myself, like, I fall into certainty traps all the time. Like, I like to have certainty, and certainty is just perfection in disguise. Like, it does take a long time, but I never skip a morning for myself ever. Right? Like, these are just non-negotiables for me, and it will get there for you. It will.
Yeah. So good. That is just brilliant. Now, Lesley, if people are listening and would love to find out more about you, follow you, maybe even join your membership and do Pilates and actually prioritize yourself, doing something active, where can they find you?
Yeah. So our Pilates membership is actually the only one online that helps hold you accountable to your goals and keeps you consistent and lets you compare yourself to yourself. We actually believe finishing is optional. We actually cheer you on when you say only did 5 minutes. We're like, that's freaking awesome. And we'll give you feedback on form. So if you're like, am I doing this right? We'll actually tell you. That's onlinepilatesclasses.com. But if you've never done Pilates before, fullbodyand15.com is our workshop series. It's free. And it teaches you how to do 20 mat exercises. And they're very foundational. So you just need room at home. And if you can lay on the ground, you have enough room. You can do it in your office, right?
Yeah.
You'll learn how to do the exercises, and then you do a 15-minute workout, and you can do that forever. You can do that until you need more than 15 minutes. You can do the first 5 minutes if you want. So that's completely free.
Amazing.
Please take us up on that. But we'd love to, but we call it movement snacks, like just little mini moments of movement. And all of our workouts, the full class times are only 30 minutes or 45 minutes because we actually we created this program for women. We have a few good men, but women, and all of our teachers were all over 40, and cortisol is not something we want to spike. So we keep the workouts under an hour, and we keep them low impact, but high benefit, high reward.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Yeah. Love that so much. We'll link that up in the show notes. Do you hang out anywhere on the socials?
Yes, I love Instagram. You might find my name in other places because my team will help me, but I don't like a lot of them. So it's me on Instagram for sure. And it's also me on our YouTube channel. My Instagram is just my name, Lesley.Logan. And then on YouTube, it's online Pilates classes, but I'm the one who responds to everything. So yeah.
Amazing. Oh, that's so cool. Thank you so much. This has been such a pleasure. I think we could talk for ages. We've definitely got a lot.
I know. We'll have to do it again. We'll have to do another topic. This is so fun. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you. And we'll catch up soon.
Sounds good.
Are you struggling to find quality clients these days? Well, in this world of instant gratification and abundance of AI-produced content, it may be feeling harder than ever to attract the sort of clients who really value your expertise, are ready to show up, ready to commit and invest in getting the results that they actually want. But it's not just about guessing, and it's not about just creating more content hoping that something sticks. There is some specific things that you can do and need to have in your business in order to attract those sort of clients. And I'm sharing them with you in my training, my free training called The Magnetic Formula. So go and grab yourself a seat for this free class and let me show you what are these 5 key things you need to have in your business so that you end up with a stream of committed, high quality clients who are ready to invest, who help you have a very thriving, flourishing business that earns you over 6 figures a year, and you do it all in very easy part-time hours. Head over to jessicaosborne.com/TMF or drop below into the show notes, click on the link and grab yourself a seat for this free training while it still exists. I'll see you there.